Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another podcast at Behind the Wheel. You've got your host here, Jordan, and today we are spotlighting Georgia, one of our OTs up in Moreton Bay. Been with us for almost a year and a half and has volunteered as tribute to come onto the pod today to share all things personally, professionally, and OT. So welcome to the pod, Georgia.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, we've got quite a few different disciplines here at Gen Physio serving the community. OT is, I think, only recently now our largest discipline that in terms of headcount, or it's actually just come in line with our physio service. So it's really great to see that OT, we know, and most of our disciplines that we offer is very much growing in the community. But at the same time, OT discipline itself has grown so much in the last 6-7 years, mainly off the back of NDIS as well. But what I'd love to understand from you is being an OT, how did that all come about? And when was the first, moment for you where you felt that this was a career that you'd like to undertake?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I was trying to decide what to do when I graduate, as most Year 12 students are doing. And you get a bit nervous. You're like, this is the rest of my life. What am I going to do? And I really couldn't decide. I was choosing between physio, nursing, and teaching, which are quite different types of careers.
Yes.
But then my friend had decided to do OT. Her brother had disabilities growing up, and she'd seen the impact that it has on people's lives. And she was telling me about it, and I was like, this sounds amazing. And it's the perfect mix between sort of the three careers I was trying to choose between. And it's a bit creative, which I love doing. So I was really excited because I just thought it sounded like the perfect role for me. And so I applied, I got into uni, and I was like, cool, this is a sign I'm supposed to be doing this. So I did 4 years at ACU doing occupational therapy. And it's a very broad profession, I have learnt, which I also thought was amazing because I was like, I never have to worry about a career change. I can just, every day is going to be different. And it's like doing a million jobs wrapped up into one, which is really actually quite fun and exciting. But definitely when I was in uni, I really loved neuro rehab. So doing that and seeing the impact that working on those daily tasks, building, function back in people's lives, that just had an insane, it just blew my mind away. And I was like, I can't believe I can do this and help someone so much. And then to then apply it to pediatrics and work with kids and do all that fun stuff and then see the impacts kind of across the lifespan through my placements, I was really able to go, this is really cool. And I'm really excited to be a part of this. So that's how I ended up in OT. And that's how I decided that I was like, this is really cool. I like this. I want to keep doing this. I can't wait to see kind of what's the next step after uni.
Look, I love the energy too, Georgia. You're almost a couple of years in, a year and a half in, and you've got great energy about you and still really passionate. I can feel that from you. You've talked about a lot of things there, and I love that. Broadness in the role or in the career, absolutely. I would say as a fellow physio myself, we thought we had a decent scope as a profession, but OT, you do definitely even have a bigger scope and broadness. So it always will keep you on your toes, and you have a big tool belt, I guess, and a skill set that you can apply for a different range of clients. So that's great. That's great to hear. And I can, again, feel your enthusiasm from that. And there's going to be plenty of learnings to come, which is great. So you got into OT, which is always a bachelor's of OT at ACU, which is always a good sign. And you talked about the different loves that you had or exposures when it came to neuro rehab and working with pediatric clients. Now, I guess when it comes to community, were you fortunate enough to get exposure in that space, or as a student, or how did community come across to you?
Yeah, definitely. When I was at uni, I didn't get to do any community-based work. I actually didn't really know it was a thing. Like I knew people went out to people's houses, or I knew that it had to exist, but I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was its own thing. People might mention it as like, oh, community OT, but I'd never really understood what that was. And my placements, I did a hospital in Toowoomba, And then I did a pediatric private clinic, which obviously is nothing like community for either of those. And then for my last placement, I did a long block in a neuro rehab clinic, which was amazing, but it's a very niche area of any sort of healthcare. And that specific program was a student-led clinic, so there's no job opportunities in it. So I was like, what do I do? My placements haven't really prepared me for anything specific. I want to do something a bit broader because then I'll get a bit of experience in everything. Because I feel like I don't know a specific, I don't want to pigeonhole myself. I'd love to be able to work with everyone, do lots of different things, and explore like the broadness of
Mhm.
OT. And so when I was applying for jobs, I just did a Seek search and I was like, oh, there's like these companies that do mobile OT. That's so cool. And I really didn't want to get on the highway every day and have a 1 hour commute into the city. So I was like, surely there's a way I can be close to home, things like that. So then when I saw Gen Physio come up, I was like, that sounds amazing. I watched the videos, I was reading through what you guys do, reading through the position description, and I was like, I get to do a bit of everything. I get to work from
Mm.
home or cafes. I get to drive around, which I actually really love driving. And I was like, I
Yeah.
get to work with kids and adults and aged care and do home modifications and do like long-term therapy and do a bit of everything. And I was like, that's so interesting. That's so exciting. And for my first year as a like career, like anything coming out of uni, that's perfect because then I get to try everything and do everything and really build like a skill set and figure out what you do like, what you don't
Mm.
like, as far as
Yeah.
like working with different, yeah, different interventions, different funding bodies, things like that, which community just gives the opportunity to do that. And then I remember in that research when I was preparing for like interviews, things like that, I was like, it really dawned on me as I was reflecting on uni and I was like, wow, uni, the placements I did, because it was hospital and then it was a short-term clinic, you see an impact on clients, but it's very acute. And you see sort of immediate little wins, but you say, see you later, and they go off and do their lap because you've just solved that one little problem for them. But I suppose
Yeah.
community means you get to see the long-term impact and you get to build real
Yeah.
rapport and relationships with people and see that change over their life. And you tick off a goal and then you're like, awesome, let's go to the next one. And you really get to see their community, their environment, and make a real lasting change, I think, which is really cool.
Well, there's anyone that, when it comes to a new grad recruitment round for next year, you can be the poster girl for community OT because you just highlighted probably all the best things about what we do each and every day and why we love community. So that's fantastic. One thing I really like what you said, and I found this when I was treating clients out in the community back in the early days of Gen Physio, is that I really like to build rapport with clients and I like to see the results and the improvement that my clients were getting over the period of time. And you are 100% right that in that hospital setting, it's horses for courses. It's more acute. There'll be, might be on the ward for a week if it's acute setting or only for 3 to 6 weeks if it's in rehab, which is a little bit better. But once you get them up and going, and you accomplish those short-term goals, there's still a lot more work to be done. And that comes out to a community clinician like us to carry on the journey. And you don't get to see that, I guess, the longer range benefit and improvement in quality of life from your interventions. And I guess that's, one of the best things. So the rewarding part about what we do and longer lasting relationships is really important. So love that. And definitely all the great things about what we do. So when it comes to your clients, what's your longest client that you've had? Tell us a little bit about
Mm,
that.
that's a
Have you had
good
clients from the
question.
start or have you had clients for what do your longer term clients look like? And perhaps maybe highlight one for us.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started, there was an OT in my area who actually had just left. She was doing some traveling. And so when I came on, there was a few clients to sort of pick up in my area that were probably a little bit more on the complex side, which, while that was difficult at the time, I had a lot of really good support with my clinical supervisor to be able to see them. And one of the longest ones I've had is literally since probably 4 weeks, like into starting. So I've pretty much been seeing them from a year and 6 months now. And that has
Wow.
been really rewarding to do that journey with them, but it's also been a very difficult
Mhm.
journey for that client. They have a muscle wasting disease called Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, just a
Oh,
young
yeah.
client.
Yep. Yep.
So his prognosis and things isn't great looking towards the future. He'll continue to need support. And
Wow.
over the last 18 months, while I've been working with him, he has developed in ways and also maintained his capacity in ways when you think about his cognitive capacity and his family is very strong, but his physical capacity has gone downhill with different injuries and also waiting on
Mm.
equipment. So in that waiting on equipment, where if the equipment had been provided earlier, his capacity would probably be higher now than it is because he had to wait so long for equipment. So then other equipment that was higher in, the support it delivered was then needed. So it's sort of kept revisiting that process.
Wow.
And so it's
That's a
very hard
challenge.
to get things funded sometimes, especially when, the client like needs it so much and you can see that impact and there's only so much you can convey on a report to be like, this is the
Mm.
most important thing in the entire world to this client, especially when you look at, their age, they're a teenager, like they just want to be up and moving with their friends and they can't and their wheelchair is the size they were when they were 8 and they've had a growth spurt and
Wow.
they just need a new
Yeah.
seat for the wheelchair, but it takes so long for those things to get approved
Mm.
that can be a really difficult space to navigate. So we've had some big wins in that space just recently
Great.
as far as equipment and funding to be able to put things in place that are actually helpful for the client. But it's bittersweet almost when if those that funding had come through 8 months ago when it was first requested, he'd probably still be walking, whereas now he can't walk.
Mhm.
So it's little things like that you have to sort of keep working with people. And that's why the rapport building is so important. Because now when I go see him, it's like, it's very lighthearted, very happy. And then when those things happen that aren't great, you can navigate that together and go, oh, it's okay because we know this is coming. Or, well, how do we shift and reshift our focus so that we're not focusing on, oh, we asked for this and
Mm.
we didn't get it. What can we do to help in that space and make it better for now while we are waiting for that, or while we shift and retrial and find a new, more appropriate option and things like that. So it's sort of just such a strange space, but he would be the client I've had probably for the most amount of time.
Mhm.
And his ongoing therapy looks more like, emotional regulation. So navigating those bigger challenges, which obviously
That's
emotionally,
big. Mhm.
even a
It's big
diagnosis like
OT.
that
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
huge thing to navigate as a young person. So I think it helps because I'm a bit younger, so we get along really well, and we'll do games and
Mm.
things that practice that, or I'll give him like challenges and we work on his problem solving and maintaining that side of things as well. So when a challenge does come up, he's like, I can figure this out, and just building that confidence as well. So that's been a big thing for him as well.
Great. You've highlighted a lot there, particularly around the challenges and what you've overcome. I like how you said that, sometimes not sometimes, it's important to focus on what you can control and not the negatives.
Yeah.
This is within our control. Let's focus on the positive and what we can do to move forward. And yeah, that's really important as well, particularly when you've got a client with high needs and going through, I assume in the adolescent stage and behaviors and, wants to keep up with friends and it's a lot there. But I mean, one client, you've been able to be part of their journey, their health journey and support over that time. You mentioned as well around the challenge of, particularly when you've got a degenerative condition, that all these interventions and support are really critical. But sometimes it's hard that after a year, the client may have, I guess, regressed or deteriorated, I used to say anyway, with my client. But I used to always say that if I wasn't there providing support and my interventions weren't being done, I could almost say for certain the deterioration would have been far worse than without the interventions that we were providing as clinicians. So yeah, keep up the solid work there, because I know that's very true in a lot of cases.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it is one of those things as well that, you have things that come up like injuries and things like that that aren't planned, and then you have to sort of reset and navigate. And I think if you didn't have those supports in place, then you're starting from scratch every time. Whereas, we all know him, we know how to support him. And so it's just making slight adjustments to meet that new level of capacity that isn't even really a degeneration necessarily, but might be an injury that's now, okay, this is what we're working with. Let's go, let's make it happen and revisit what we're doing so that it can support where you're at now as well. So I think it's good having those supports in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we're there for. And as an OT, we've got, well, as a clinician in the community and an OT yourself, we've got a tool belt or multiple skill sets. What do you find as an intervention that you use most frequently with clients in their community? And take us through what that might look like.
Oh, that is a really hard question. I might have to subgroup this, but pediatric clients, I use a curriculum called Zones of
Hmm.
Regulation for emotional regulation. I find it
Yeah.
a really awesome curriculum. You kind of step through it with them. It teaches them each concept. It's a very interactive sort of way of presenting information to a child. It has worksheets, it has posters they can put up in their room, and it really sets them up well. I've used it with a few clients to completion now, and I have a few clients who are developing it, like going
Hmm.
through it. And it's a really awesome way to integrate like parent collaboration as well. And then it's something they can use in their household. And it sort of looks at framing your emotions and your feelings and your behaviors into certain groups, and then giving really clear tools and ways of coming back and looking at that and just building their ability to do that themselves and self-regulate. So that's been really helpful for a lot of my pediatric clients with autism. And I've also found a few that have I've gotten new referrals for now that have used it previously and then moved or whatever and forgotten how to use it. And so it's a really easy thing to come back to and go, oh, let's just build on that. Let's reset. Let's put it in this environment and let's make it work. And so I found that to be a really helpful resource for that age group.
Yeah, great. Okay. Emotional
But
regulation,
adults,
zoning,
yeah.
zones with therapy, I think you
It's
said.
called zones of regulation. So it's like a specific intervention, but it's quite cool. So it's
Mhm.
like anger, really big emotions are like the red zone, and then like tired, sad, bored, like low energy
Yeah.
emotions are the blue zone. And then you might go, oh, if you're in the red zone, let's go for a run, get some energy out, things like that. So it's just giving kids really clear
Mm.
tools, because I think it's hard sometimes for children, especially as they're learning how emotions work. What is this emotion? How does this
Mm.
look? What can I do? It's being very practical and spelling it out for them, which is cool.
We all need that, not just children, right? From time to time.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
assistive technology. That's a wheelhouse, a big wheelhouse of OTs.
Mm.
And I believe just from the information I've got on my screen here, that's a passion of yours as well. And can you tell me a little bit about some AT success stories that you've had, or some challenges, yeah, and big wins around prescribing and working clients with AT and the NDIS?
Yeah, definitely. That's a big part of my role, and it is quite a chunky part of your role because it has so much that goes into it once you do the assessment and then trialing and reporting and then following up and advocating for clients, even to the point of them actually getting the equipment. Some equipment that I've helped implement, I've done a lot of like adjustable high-low beds and mattresses for clients. And obviously that makes a big difference for a lot of different diagnoses and presentations, from not being able to move properly and get in and out of bed and being able to change that height, but then also a lot of pain, swelling, and
Falls
different sort
prevention?
of diagnoses, yeah, that allow them to adjust and position themselves and engage in activities they might not have been able to. And then I've done a few wheelchairs now, which has been very interesting to learn, I guess, about the
Mm.
scope of that. I find especially NDIS specific ones, they become very scripted, very specific to the client, and you don't sort of realize till you start how adjustable and unique to the client these devices can be like made and created to really meet what the client needs. And that's probably one of the biggest devices I've seen to have like the most impact for clients, where you see it enables them to mobilize throughout their home environment, mobilize in the community, so get out of their home. Some of them have like
Mhm.
the all-terrain, all that sort of stuff, so you can literally go anywhere. You can get tray
Wow.
tables so they can
Four-wheel
eat their
driving.
meals, do all of that. Yeah, literally forward driving. Some clients really like being able to do that. I'm like, I don't know if you should be driving it then, but it's getting them out of the house, it's getting them engaged in activities and
Exactly.
socially, like it makes the
Mm,
biggest difference. They can start doing cooking tasks, they can go to school, there's so many things that impacts, and even just the long-term benefit of the amount of positioning supports you can get with the lateral supports to keep them upright and the seating to adjust so that they like long term are better set up and prevent other issues or conditions that might even further limit their ability to do things. So, yeah, I have seen that probably have the biggest impact for clients, particularly because it enables that community participation and just, yeah, getting out, going and doing
of
things.
course.
And then, yeah, obviously, alternatively, they're usually reliant on other people to move. So it really is the biggest impact independence-wise in being able to just get up and go and do
Of
things
course.
they want to do, whether it's inside or outside. So yeah, I would say wheelchairs I have seen to have the biggest impact. And then I've done a lot of like smaller sort of equipment. So things like for your cutting up, I can get chopping boards that hold your food where it is, and then you can chop. Yeah, all of those sort of little things like your even sponges for the bath, shower chairs, all of those sorts of things that really enable people to save some energy in the tasks they're doing, do it a bit safer, and just, yeah, enable them to stay as independent as possible in their homes, which I think why I love assistive technology is one, because you see the immediate impact on people's lives.
Yeah.
So you go,
Yeah.
this has made a big difference. The second is that I really love a good problem to solve. And I think it's such a cool process of going, what are your needs? What's the problem? What are we trying to fix? And then like thinking about all those things and trying to adjust and find the right features to make that specific device the right device for that client. Because obviously you can say wheelchair. There's a million wheelchairs out there to choose from. So it's going through that process with the client to find what's going to be most appropriate. And then also, I would say from a rapport perspective, being able to go through the process of advocating for a client and navigating that with them, as much as it's probably the hardest
Hmm.
and most frustrating part of the AT process, there is a sort of next level of rapport you get from sort of fighting through that process with someone and having to keep
True.
pushing and moving forward. And I think if you can show them how much you are actually supporting them and like communicating that with them, I think I've seen real impact, even just in the hope perspective of going, oh, I know this is going to take a long time. Like, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take time to process it and hear back. But I think when you have someone following up, calling the support coordinator to follow up with the NDIS, or I've even had to contact them directly multiple times for client to just know they have someone kind of on their side supporting them, I think helps because it always
Hmm.
takes time in that process.
Well, you're dealing with government funding, there's red tape, and they don't
Yeah.
move quickly, unfortunately. So I like what you did there is, really setting up the expectation for your clients and the initial process, because I've seen many times, again, the poor old OTs, the ones that cop the flack when the
Mm,
equipment supplier runs out of stock and takes ages to deliver it, or the NDIS is NDI is taking too long to approve recommendations. And unfortunately, it's the clinician who gets put in the middle and takes the heat. So I like that you take the client on that journey and you set them up with the right expectations from day dot.
yeah, that's important. I think being honest with them about what
Absolutely.
it's going to take, just having realistic timelines and being like, this
Mm,
is going to take time. And then also, I think going, okay, what can we do in the meantime? How can we adjust this, adjust this? How can we get you a bit more
mm,
support so you're not just sitting here doing nothing? But we know this is the best case scenario, and Like, we've pushed
Mm.
that, we're waiting for that. What can we do in the meantime so you're not just sitting here feeling like nothing's happening at the same time?
Small steps forward, even if it's not the end goal, and
That's it.
the big jump forward. It's something, and I love that. Now, Georgia, you've pretty much sold community. You've given us the good ins and outs of what it's like being an OT in the community for anyone who's listening as a graduate OT or maybe a referrer or a client of ours. So it's really great that you've given a really good, I guess, taste of, or shared what it's like to be out on the road and the clients that you're working with and your own passion. So I'd like to hear personally about you beyond the job. Have you got any hobbies or things you like to switch off and do over the weekend? Or, yeah, please share with the audience.
Yes, I currently play for a soccer team, so I do that every Saturday. That's my like getting
Great.
out, going for a run. I'm not very good at soccer. It's not my sport, but it's
Good.
nice to get out, be social, and yeah, get a good run around, learn new
Team.
skills. So
Yeah.
that's been good. And then I really love playing piano. So I have a piano
Okay.
and I practice it. And then I also really love painting. So I've been able to do a bit of creative stuff with some of the kids that I work with to work on sort of fine motor skills, planning, all those sorts of things. So it's nice being able to incorporate your passions and the things you love doing into your job. So it's nice doing that on the weekends too.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And we're going to now, taking us towards the end of the podcast, we've got what's called a quick fire round. So we're out on the road each and every day here. And these questions are all around what it's like being in your car, doing your home visits and being in community. You ready? Let's do it. So what's your go-to lunch on a normal work day? Do you have something you prepare yourself or a favorite cafe that you like to visit? What's your go-to lunch on the regular, and then what's your treat yourself?
Okay, my go-to lunch on the regular is a bacon and eggs at Basil and Vine in Burpengary.
That
Like a
sounds
little, I'm
good.
a brunch
On a
girl.
regular.
I like a
Yep.
cooked up breakfast, so I do get
Yep.
that a lot. It's sort of in the heart of my zone, so I go there a lot. And then treat myself probably like a burrito from Zambreros.
So good.
That would be
Filling,
my treat
but they go
myself.
down well.
They do.
Coffee order. What's your
Oh,
favorite coffee orders, or do you have pods in the morning? You grind your own coffees? Are you a 7-Eleven on the drive-through? How do you do your coffees or
uh,
teas?
no, I get an iced caramel latte from whatever cafe I'm at. I get an iced caramel latte.
Nice. Yeah, treat yourself. Okay. And favorite podcast or playlist in the car between clients?
Uh, I listen to the Ella Langley mix on Spotify. That's my go-to. She's a country
Okay.
singer.
Is that a
Yeah.
podcast?
I'm not really a podcast girly, but I'm trying to be a podcast
Ah,
person. I'm working on it.
okay. Okay. Thanks for sharing. And a phrase you find yourself saying most often, either in the car, on the road, or at work, or with your clients?
Uh, It's definitely if you don't use it, you'll lose it, which is probably a
It's
cliche
always a good
answer,
one.
but it really does come up a lot. And like often clients will sort of bring it up themselves, where they'll be like, oh, like I'll be like, their daughter will be like, you need to slow down, you're doing too much. And they're like, no, I need to keep doing all the cleaning. And I'm like, well, you do need to like, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. But also you don't want to push yourself so far that you can't walk tomorrow. So it's a balance, but I definitely say that phrase a lot.
It's a good one. It's a goodie, an oldie, but a goodie, as they say.
That's it.
And last question here for the quick fire round. Dream road trip destination. Being that we're in our cars and in the community, if you were to go on a dream road trip holiday destination, what would that be?
Think either the Whitsundays or I
That's a good
feel
one.
like across Australia, Western Australia, like that would be really cool. Like to cross Australia and then go to like Western Australia and do all of that would be really cool. It's a cool spot,
So we were
I
like
think.
Alice Springs, Uluru, that sort of
It's too hot, I think. I think I'd
too
go
hot.
through
Okay,
like
keep
South
going
Australia to like the Great Australian Drive or whatever.
to the
Maybe.
down Vic, great
Yeah,
is it the Great Ocean Road?
the Great Ocean
Yeah,
Road, something like that. I think that would be cool. But Uluru would be also a very cool spot to go.
plenty to see and do here. Now,
That's
to
it.
close us out, Georgia, if you were speaking to an OT student who would be interested starting at in community and a place like Gen Physio, what would be your one piece of advice you would give them?
That is a very good question. I think my advice would be to lean on the support, like the people you have around you. I think because
Mhm.
it's community, you're sort of on your own, you're seeing clients. You can at times feel a bit like, oh, I'm on my own. But I think it's important to remember you're not on your own, you're not alone ever. Your team manager and my clinical supervisor and team manager are amazing. They're always ready to respond, help me with literally anything. I think OT is one of those jobs you get a new referral and it can be a bit like feeling like you're back at square one because you maybe haven't seen that client before, haven't seen that presentation before, haven't used that intervention before. But I think there actually is a lot of support. And with that,
Great.
I would always book joint sessions with suppliers for equipment and home modifications
Absolutely.
because that is how you learn and that's how you get
Mm.
to know what pieces are out there, how to prescribe them, how to assess them, what features are out there. When you're talking to clients, then you start to build that going, oh, I have this in mind because of that time I saw this. Whereas sometimes when you first do it, you're like, I don't know anything yet, but you will learn. And it's just having, I guess, a bit of, yeah, just remembering that you're not alone and there really is a lot of support out there.
So use your support network here within the business, within the community setting, depending on where
Definitely.
you go, obviously here at Gen Physio, but also the supplier one. That's the great one. That's the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah,
They're the experts and you don't need to
they
be the
are.
absolute expert on everything. And if you want to be, you got to learn from them. So absolutely. I used to
Exactly.
just put my input as a physio and have them do the heavy lifting when it comes to different products and what's coming out. And you learn as you go
Yeah,
and you get a great result with
totally
your
agree.
client.
That's it.
That's a great one. Well, Georgia, thank you so much for your time and sharing us your first year and a half of many great experiences as a community OT here at Gen Physio and your journey of taking the leap into community without getting that exposure through uni. And I hope, and what it sounds like, it's been an absolute right decision for you as an early career clinician.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a really good time to chat through everything and yeah, talk to you as well.
Thank you. All right. Well, we're going to finish it up there, guys. And thank you for listening and being part of this. Bye for now.